Iran nuclear deal that Trump tore up in 2018.
Tonight, he said, they said, and it didn't match in the middle of a war. Early in the day, Iran said it would open the Strait of Hormuz, a positive, welcome development. President Trump began essentially declaring victory, saying Iran has agreed to all of America's demands. Iran, though, then said that's a lie. Yep. Trump says Iran will forever stop enriching uranium. He says the U.S. will be getting their nuclear spots.
Yeah, see, it's like Trump just goes out there and just like, I don't know why. He just oversells it to the American people. And the Iranian got to come out. The Iranian people got to come out and burst our bubble. It's like, no, we didn't say we're just going to give you our uranium. We said if you give us $20 billion of our frozen assets, we'll give you it back. We'll give you the uranium. And it's like, no, we haven't just agreed to hand over our nuclear dust for no reason just because you're bombing us. No, we said we want some money out of this. So what's it going to be, Trump? Are you going to give the Iranians their money like Obama did and, kind of face that criticism? Or are you going to keep the war going to avoid, having a deal similar to Obama's? Let me be real with you. It is going to be somewhat embarrassing if we get right back into a similar version of the JCPOA that he kind of got out of in 2018. So let's be real here. Trump is overselling it. Iran's not capitulating the way they're selling it to us. Actually, they're pretty much telling us, nah, we still have a card. We still have cards here. They just used their card about a couple hours ago to close the Strait of Hormuz.
A stockpile. He also said Iran has agreed not to help groups like Hezbollah. Iran says all that isn't true. And on the Strait, Iran tonight says it will not reopen the waterway if America's blockade continues. Trump says he will not end the blockade until they get a deal. So after a day of optimism, things are once again on shaky ground as negotiators race to strike an agreement before the current ceasefire expires next week. I'm going to start with you, Josh, because you're deeply steeped in international relations. What do you make of what you've seen so far?
Right, I think we're witnessing a couple of different things. There's the jumble of what Trump is saying and the negotiations. He's putting out the U.S. position. No one really thinks we're there, but he's expressing confidence that this is where they're going to get to. The Iranians don't think so. It's not likely to happen. That's part of it. Another part of it is that somebody shorted the oil market today by hundreds of millions of dollars exactly 20 minutes before Trump made his announcement that everything was going to be great. And if you see that once, it could be a coincidence. But that's happened at least 3 times, if not more, since the war began. That's a pattern. And what that suggests is that there's rampant corruption and insider self-dealing going on with the president's up and down predictions of what's going to happen tomorrow in the negotiations and in the markets. And I'm sure that that's being investigated. We can't prove it, but it seems like the corruption that we're seeing in our government, maybe not the president, but people who are in the know and the markets is having a priority over the actual negotiations to end the war. And that's a crazy thing that our system has never seen before, and that we have a lot of time processing and a lot of problem solving.
Joe, how do you respond to that idea that something seems fishy when it comes to what keeps happening with the market?
Look, I consider Josh a friend, but in all due respect, that is a baseless accusation based on the way you ended that statement. We have no proof of this. We can't say it actually happened, but because it did happen, it must
pretty suspicious.
It must be rampant corruption.
No, I'm being careful.
I'm just saying that's a pretty big stretch from
you don't think you think it's a coincidence. That's your view.
I have no idea, but I'm not going to go on a news network and say I am 100% confident in something. But look,
I didn't say I was 100% confident. I'm saying we should check it out.
Are we better today on this Friday than we were last Friday? I think the answer is collectively yes. Right. The blockade, right, has been the leverage. There's obviously talk about who controls the straits, whether it's open, whether it's not. That's all fine. The president has implemented the blockade a couple of days ago. That brought Iran back to the negotiating table, and we are in a better position today than we were a few days ago. And frankly, I know where this conversation is going to go. It's going to go into the he said, she said about what Trump said versus what the Iranians said, even though there's a lot of discord within the Iranian regime as to what's actually happening. I'm sick of giving the benefit of the doubt to the experts because I've been sitting at this table long enough listening to quote unquote experts who said the oil is going to be $2.50 a barrel because of this war. Gas prices will be $8 at the pump. We're going to have immediate ground war.
Yeah, because if the war kept progressing, things were getting more and more expensive. Energy or gas was getting more and more expensive as this war progressed on, and it didn't seem like there was no end in sight. That's what we were talking about, and we were right about that. I mean, we told you that within the first week of this war, y'all wanted to call us panicans. And then when y'all see gas prices rise, inflation goes up by 0.9%. Now y'all still want to sit there and play stupid? Like, really? Okay.
There'll be immediate Russian intervention. There's going to be, I mean, everything.
Yeah, but the
All of
question,
this
really is,
all of this has been wrong. So why are we always
are
giving
you in a better
Trump,
position
why
than
are we
you
giving
were
Trump, we never give Trump the benefit of the doubt, but the experts, we always give them the benefit of the doubt.
Are we in a better position than we were after the Obama-Iran nuclear deal that Trump tore up in 2018? That's the question. The question is, you know, Trump said, well, they were very close to a nuclear weapon, but we don't know that because the inspectors were kicked out of the country when they tore up the deal. So we had 8 years of not having inspectors on the ground.
Hey, George dumbass, I just want to let you know something. You know I'm a conservative, right? If you actually check, you know, all my videos, I was actually campaigning for Trump. You know, while you were there talking shit behind a faceless account like a coward, I was out here every day putting my face out there supporting Trump. So watch who you talking to, buddy.
Which we would have had if they had not torn up that deal. So now we go into this situation where you have Trump saying they're very close, the Israelis saying they're very close, but the intelligence community here in America under Donald Trump in March of 2025, just last March, were saying they were not developing, and that the Ayatollah had told them that had not endorsed this idea of developing a nuclear weapon. So we have to now trust either the president's lying or the intelligence community is lying. One of them has a history of lying.
The JCPOA would have sunset anyway by its own provisions. It was a delay tactic, not a solution. But
is this not a delay tactic? Are they not the
Charles, I'm a partisan
delay?
Don't even believe me. Believe the current leader of the Democratic Party in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, who said the JCPOA was a feckless waste of a deal, right? That was his position. That was a number of Democrats in the House. President Trump won the first election.
Yeah, but here's the problem, though. If this was about having Iran's nuclear capabilities under our control, or not under our control, but under our watchful eye, then yeah, Obama's deal was actually pretty good. And we was able to make sure they stayed at that 3.67%. And we made sure that their stockpile stayed at a certain level as well. As soon as we got out of that, Iran's nuclear capability got completely out of hand. We did from 2018 to 2020 to constant acts of aggressions, which include IRGC labeled as terrorists, killed General Qasem Soleimani. When we got out of the JCPOA, we put back on the sanctions. By 2021, these guys are at 60%. So I'm sorry, but all this aggression towards Iran after you guys got out of the JCPOA has actually only further exacerbated the problem of their nuclear capabilities.
In large part because people saw the reality of this deal as not being effective long-term. Fact.
No, so another fact is that they were able to get, I think it was 97, 98% of the nuclear material out of Iran under that deal. And they had inspectors on the ground to monitor whether or not Iran was living up to its end of that deal, which was to not enrich uranium at a large scale. I think they were doing something like able to enrich something like 3-4% of what they had before. Those are also facts on the ground, provable facts. And now we went from that to having no one there watching. And now we have to watch from across the ocean and listen to the Israelis who've been pushing for military intervention for over many presidents, but this one fell for it. And now we're in war, not with all.
And here's the sad reality, man. It's not that Trump had the balls to deal with Iran. He's just, I hate to admit this, but he was just the only one stupid enough to fall for it. He was the only one stupid enough to actually believe Israeli intelligence over his own intelligence. When CIA military generals from America is pretty much telling them, yo, it's not a good idea. Benjamin Netanyahu's blowing smoke up your ass. He's just telling you this so you'll get dragged into this. It's not going to be no damn week. Mossad comes through. Don't worry, it's going to be a week. You just bomb them enough, the people will rise up and take over again. Did it happen? No. So yes, and this is what every president saw. This is what every president got briefed on constantly. Like, yo, it's not going to happen the way the Israelis says it's going to happen. And they all backed off of Iran. For some reason, Trump was sadly bamboozled enough or dumb enough to get into this war that other presidents saw as a bad idea. So it's not that the man got balls, it's that he might be a bit slow, sadly. And trust me, I voted for him, and I'm being pretty fair with this war. Like I said, I supported him for the tariffs. I supported him for the immigration. But let's be, and he actually has some, and he actually has some good marks in the economy when it came to job growth, when it came to inflation, like, and gas prices. Most of that's being reversed due to this war. Bro, the Republicans are now working with the Democrats for amnesty for undocumented immigrants. Like, a lot of stuff that he ran on is now being walked back. And it ain't just this war. It ain't just no new wars. It's a lot.
All of our kind of international colleagues, which what the last deal had, it had the U.S., UK, France, China, Russia, the whole European Union was supporting it. So that all that reporting would have come back to everyone. So now we're in by ourselves, start a war by ourselves, and now we're expected to pat this man on the back because he is trying to bring to a close a war that he started.
Annalise, do you see this as a quagmire? I mean, we had this moment early today, this morning, where it was like, okay, the Strait of Hormuz is open. There were ships that started to move, and then they moved back because the blockade was in place, and Iran said, okay, if you're going to block us, we're going to keep it closed.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not necessarily sure that I take.
Like I said, it's like every time we try to pull a so-called big dog move on Iran, we get embarrassed by it. So you really thought that Iran was just going to pretty much allow the blockade of their ships while letting other ships to go through the Strait of Hormuz? Like, you really thought that we had that type of leverage with Iran? Really, guys? Oh, man, well, hey, man, they tricked you on that note because no, Iran still has control of the Strait of Hormuz. They could close it whenever they want, and they can resume fighting if they want to. Sadly, we haven't stopped their missile capability. They can still fire drones all over the place, and that's the most advanced of their military right there. Well, that's the most advanced of the most advanced threat they got is their missiles and drones, which we have not taken care of at all.
The Iranian regime's word over President Trump's word. And I do think.
Well, you don't have to take anybody's word.
Yeah,
All you have to do is look at
wouldn't.
the number of ships that moved through the Strait of Hormuz today. And the ship trackers report it was 8. Before the war started, it was about 130 every single day. So clearly, the Strait of Hormuz is not actually open.
Well, certainly. But what I'm saying is they're saying they're not going to reopen it. I think we need to continue to watch to see what happens. I think this is a negotiation, and that's what Donald Trump does. And this is sort of, Josh, to your point, he lays down what he wants to have happen, and there's going to be a push and pull. And you know, I do think this has gone on longer than he initially thought. I agree with you, Max, there. You know, but I think that this next round, it does feel a little bit different and promising, and maybe like there is an off ramp. And I think that is what Republicans want. I think.
I'm sorry, there is an off ramp right here, right now. Just remove the naval blockade, and Iran will open up the strait, and then we can move on to something else. It's like, that's it. That's all. That's how you get the strait open. But Trump doesn't want to do that. I guess he want to save face on being tough on Iran, but even though it's not really working out in our favor.
There is this end of, you know, this sort of sense that, okay, we've gone in, we need to wrap things up, and we need to focus on these domestic issues.
Problem, right? Here's the problem. You take out the entire leadership, you leave a vacuum there. They said they were going to go in for regime change. Regime change did not happen. The people who are there are still part of the old thinking, and you have people filling the void who may be more hardline than the people who were killed already. So you make it an Iran where it's even more dangerous. You have the Strait of Hormuz that we had never thought of Iran controlling. Even in Trump's tweets or posts on Truth Social today, he was calling it the Straits of Iran instead of the Straits of Hormuz. It is without a doubt that they are now controlling it. They are saying,
I'll be honest with you, the way they're able to shut it on and off, yeah, they control it. Like, I'm sorry, but if you can't admit that Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz at this point, you're delusional. Like, I'm going to talk to some of the guys in MAGA because some of y'all are actually that delusional, sadly.
Whether or not it's open or not. And that is a change. That is a negative change.
Well, I think what's also a change is that they have an entirely decimated Navy. I mean, we have obliterated their military capabilities. So I think if we're talking about what's changed, that is a huge change.
Obliterated military capabilities.
They still have thousands of
Clearly
missiles,
haven't done
thousands of drones, dozens of ships, and the ability to attack all of our.
I mean, yep, still have a whole lot of speedboats that are able to mine this Strait of Hormuz with. They don't got no real Air Force, but let's be real, the Air Force was like what, from the 60s and 70s? So not really a threat, nothing really to boast about. So, oh yeah, and due to our own intelligence, U.S. intelligence has said only 33% of their missiles have been destroyed or used. So, yeah, guys, like that's not much. I'm gonna be real with you. They still have a whole lot of missiles to fire, and I mean, trust me, it's the hypersonic missiles that's really catching us. Oh, and they're able to still fire cluster missiles into Israel. So I'm sorry, but if this ceasefire wasn't going on, Iran would still be firing off missiles and drones at their will, and we'd still be bombing them at our will.
Allies and all of our bases in the region. And not only that, the world economy is getting worse and worse. And I'm not sure what experts Joe is referring to when that we're wrong, but I wish the Trump administration had included a few more experts on this negotiating team, because it's pretty clear that they misunderstood the negotiation. I'm rooting for them. I think not just Republicans, everybody wants this war to end. I want Donald Trump to succeed in ending this war, but I can't ignore the incompetence in which he's prosecuting that negotiation, because it's obvious. And the way that we know they don't have a strategy is because the strategy changes every day. So if the strategy changes every day, that means there's no strategy. And now they're bumbling through it, as Max said. And yeah, I hope they accidentally solve the problem and get us out of this mess, because not only is the world economy getting...
Oh, guys, make sure to double tap that screen, like the video, guys. If you've got any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, I'll be happy to read it out loud. Super chat it in, just $2 and up. Appreciate the support, guys.
Worse. Not only is the prices for Americans going...
Oh, I mean, come on now. You guys, the naysayers in the chat, can you actually have an argument? Like, come on now. You're smarter than that. You actually have an argument for me. Go ahead and write it out. Come on now. Show your work.
But Americans are in harm's way, and they're dying and getting injured. And we should
hit
not
7,100 today.
Definitely.
We saw a V-shaped recovery in the economy. The S&P hit 7,100, like I said today. I don't think that's indicative. I don't think the markets were indicative of your outlook on.
No, they're
I always think it's a problem to gauge the economy based on the markets.
Yeah,
it's a huge problem, because it is not dealing with the average person who's out there having to fill up a tank.
No, that's true, though. I mean, the most foolish thing you can honestly do is assume that the market just reflects how everybody in this country is doing. Like, no, that just shows that these companies are turning over a profit still. And that's great. We want these companies to turn over a profit still so they can continuously give out opportunity. But that doesn't mean that your everyday American is doing okay. That doesn't mean that inflation isn't kicking our ass anymore. Doesn't mean that high gas prices are no longer a problem. Apparently, though, we're supposed to be happy about, oh, well, don't worry, Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, but you sure is going to have some high-ass gas prices, though. So, prepare for that, buddy. Yeah, I know. Why are you trying to sell it? But all right, though, let's get right into it here.
There's uncertainty over whether the Strait of Hormuz is open for maritime traffic, despite both Iran and the US saying it is. The closure has choked global energy supplies for weeks. In the past hour, the Speaker of Iran's parliament, Mohammad Ghalibaf, says the US blockade on Iran renders the strait closed. He says ships can only pass through designated routes and with Iran's authorization. President Donald Trump insists the blockade will only be lifted the moment a peace deal is reached with Tehran. Trump had earlier declared the Strait of Hormuz is, quote, completely open and ready.
Oh, man, somebody said, when did I flip? My man, I never flipped. I mean, I ain't leave MAGA. MAGA left me. Let's go over the proof here. MAGA erupts as Republicans push to offer path to undocumented migrants. I mean, did we not vote for, sending these guys home? Oh, because Trump now doesn't want it. It's cool now. So I'm just saying, I mean, I voted for no new wars, especially in the Middle East, that Donald Trump has said vociferously himself. So it kind of just sounds like I just stood on what I voted for, stood on my values, and you guys just, stood to dick ride Trump, to be quite honest with you. I'm not talking about you, personally, but most of MAGA right now is kind of just, they don't really have no values. They just stand for what Trump does. They didn't really care about, him talking about no new wars or bettering the economy and all this good stuff, because, hey, they're over here trying to defend Trump, even though he's walking all that back. So, like I said, I ain't flip sides. I'm still a conservative. I'm still America first. The problem is that MAGA don't see it. MAGA's watching Trump completely go into, I'm gonna be real with you, completely walk us into a war with Iran that we've been in for 6-7 weeks now. We were told 4 days. And you're telling me I'm not supposed to say something about that? Crazy. That's crazy. Inside trading going on. And I'm not supposed to say something about that, even though we're supposed to be against fraud, corruption, and all this inside trading, but it's going on right in front of our face with Trump, and we're just supposed to be like, it's Trump, so it's different now. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I didn't flip. Some of y'all are just brainwashed. And it's upsetting, because I thought MAGA had a bit more, a bit more common sense. Because let's be real, MAGA done turned into liberals. Like, at a certain point, now y'all using TDS the same way liberals use MAGTARD. It's like a just way to dismiss any argument that you cannot refute when it comes to debating, is Donald Trump doing what he's supposed to as president, what we voted him in for? You have no debate. You have no argument, but, oh, you got TDS. You sound like a bunch of libs. You're soft now.
Ready
But,
for business. There have also been mixed messages regarding the future of more than 400 kilograms of Iran's enriched nuclear material. Trump has declared that the US will get it.
And
But
please tell me how MAGA is winning when inflation went up 0.9%. How did MAGA win when gas is at $4 nationally? How do we win? Like, please tell me, how is that part of our agenda? Like, that's what I'm saying. Some of you guys are that brainwashed to see the bad numbers in front of you and say we're still winning. Like, bro, y'all the type to see y'all the type to be on a team and see y'all team down 0, the other team up 21, and say, oh no, we're winning. We still got a chance, guys. Like, that's y'all delusional.
Iran has rejected this outright. Washington and Tehran could be headed for a second round of talks, possibly within the coming days. Trump claims a deal is mostly complete. However, an Iranian source has told Al Jazeera that negotiations are still at a very early stage, and the next step will be agreeing on a framework for negotiations, not a final agreement. Now, Donald Trump has been speaking at a rally in Arizona, and this is what he said just a short while ago.
And this process, we're getting along well, but who knows with anyone, but who knows with Iran in particular. This process should go very quickly, and that most of the points are already negotiated and agreed to. You'll be very happy. The USA will get all nuclear dust, but Iran, with the help of the USA, has removed or is removing all of the sea mines. And most importantly, it never agreed, and you'll understand, they will never have a nuclear weapon. They will never have a nuclear weapon.
Now, Mohammed Bagher Ghalibaf, the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament, a key player in the negotiations with the US, has posted on X saying, the President of the United States made 7 claims in 1 hour, all 7 of which were false. They didn't win the war with these lies, and they certainly will not get anywhere in negotiations either. With the continuation of the
I know, that's what I'm saying. Trump made it sound like, oh, the Iranians were just bending over backwards to just give them everything. And no, actually, be real, Trump. What did the Iranians ask for them giving up their uranium? They wanted some cash. They wanted you to unfreeze their assets and give them billions of dollars, just like Obama did. I mean, to get that nuclear dust. They didn't say they were just going to give it up for free now, did they? No, they said you're going to have to give us some money. And is he going to do it? Doesn't sound like it, because he's leaving it out to the American people. And I'm pretty sure the American people like to know that, yo, Iran said that they're asking for money for this. You're not telling us? You're trying to frame it to the American people as if they're just doing it for free? All right.
blockade, the Strait of Hormuz will not remain open. Passage through the strait will be conducted.
I mean, look, if he wants to hide it from the American people that he's doing it for free, I don't care, as long as we get the deal. But I ain't gonna lie to you about it.
Based on the designated route and with Iranian authorization. Whether the strait is open or closed and the regulations governing it will be determined by the field, not by social media. Now, Mike Hanna joins us from the White House. Now, Donald Trump says all the things have been agreed. However, that's come as a surprise to the Iranians. So what's exactly Donald Trump been saying over the last few hours?
Well, he's been very upbeat. He's been talking up a framework that he believes would lead to imminent negotiations or a resumption of negotiations. Throughout the day, in social media posts and various interviews and in that speech that you mentioned there, he's been framing the whole day in the fact that negotiations are imminent, or a resumption of negotiations are imminent. There are still significant differences, but President Trump says, no, these significant differences are not significant. They are easily overcome, that many points of agreement have already been made. But to take one example, for example, President Trump continues to insist that the situation in Lebanon is completely separate from Iran-US negotiations. Iran says that an end to the Israeli advance and war in Lebanon is a precondition for any lasting agreement, and in fact, for any negotiations to take place.
And we gave them that. Yeah, we gave them a ceasefire with Lebanon, and that we had to pretty much convince Israel to sit their ass down. So that's good. The problem is now that we had to remove our naval blockade, so we have a full opening of the Strait of Hormuz, and not just, oh, everybody else could go through but Iran. I mean, if you actually thought Iran was going to agree to that, then come on now. Like, you're tripping. And Iran, like I said, Iran did agree to give up their nuclear, not weapons, but their nuclear enrichment or their uranium stockpile. They agreed to give that up if we release $20 billion or less in Iranian assets. So we'll see how that works out. If that's not done, then this is not going to move anywhere. And I don't know why Trump is trying to sell it as if Iran's just giving it away for free. But hey, the propaganda is real.
So while President Trump is talking up and writing up a storm on his social media, there still seems to be a massive gap between the parties, a gap that President Trump appears reluctant or unwilling to acknowledge.
That's Mike Hanna live for us there from the White House. Abbas Aslani is a senior research fellow at the Center for Middle East Strategic Studies. He's joining us from Tehran. I want to get into the detail of one of the points that seems to be the major contention is whether the Strait of Hormuz is actually open. Donald Trump is insisting it's open, but Tehran is very clear. It says it's not us that's blocking it now. It's the Americans. So what is Tehran's position right now?
Well, Tehran is saying that the Strait of Hormuz is open based on, certain conditions, meaning that it's open to commercial vessels and not to the hostile, let's say, nations. And the vessels need to transit through the designated route by Iran and through coordination with Iranian authorities. But one thing which could be a point of contention is that Tehran insists that the naval blockade adopted by the U.S. against the country is a violation of the ceasefire agreement previously brokered by Pakistan. And this can provoke a reaction from the Iranian side. But the U.S. is saying that this blockade can be lifted if there is a deal done. But this is something which is not a problem today, but might be, the point of contention in the days to come. And in addition to that, we are seeing that there's a divergence in the narratives about what is taking place in the process. And despite some common, grounds, there are also differences.
Now, Abbas, in the next coming days, there may well be, and this is not confirmed, but there may well be direct negotiations between Iran and the US. Now, this is being framed by Donald Trump as we've got mostly a deal, but the Iranians have walked this back, and they're saying, actually, we're talking about the framework for the negotiations, not the final settlement. So what do they mean by framework for the negotiations? Surely that's already been settled.
Imran, it is about mostly the framework and the preliminary agreement, that what a potential agreement can look like. It means that on the, in principle, they can agree on major issues like the Iran's right to enrich, as well as, the highly enriched uranium stockpile, the Strait of Hormuz, and etc. But down the road, they will need to finalize the details. And the details, if not more important than the framework, they will not be less important. So that's why Iran is a bit cautious about the process. And they think that nothing is agreed until everything is agreed. And they are in a wait-and-see mode to see how the upcoming discussions will unfold. And there's no official confirmation from the Iranian side on a potential second round. However, if there is any progress on the remaining issues, I think...
Well, pretty much what the Iranians are saying is that, well, pretty much trust has been broken because during the ceasefire, well, pretty much per the agreement was, look, you guys are going to stop firing. Israel's going to stop firing into Lebanon. We're going to release our hold on the Strait of Hormuz, and you guys are going to release your naval blockade. So only 2 out of the 3 were actually fulfilled. 2 of the 3 demands were actually fulfilled. The third demand, which was remove the naval blockade, wasn't fulfilled. So this is why we have a closure, or basically a Iran resuming control over the Strait of Hormuz is because of the fact that Trump does not want to move that naval blockade. I mean, you could agree or disagree with that, but let's be real. This is why the Strait of Hormuz is going to continuously be closed. But all right, let's go ahead and see what our guys over at Fox News is saying.
Are we?
Oh, guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. And if you've got any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Just $2 and up, or you can send it in on a Venmo. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's get right into it. Oh, you can get to the Venmo by scanning the VR code above. There you go.
About to actually see peace in the Middle East. What will be the next step? Here with